All right, folks, as you can see, I've got some sheep here behind me that need to get moved. So before we do that, though, I wanted to cover a little bit of information with you. These are Katahdin hair sheep. As you can tell, they're starting to shed out pretty well. Hi, girls. So unlike most sheep where you have to shear their wool, these ones, they're a mix between I wouldn't say it's straight on wool or straight on hair. It's a little bit of a mixture of both, but they do shed it out. You can see it's flaking off of them pretty well there. They've been in this area for about 4 or 5 days, so it's time to get them moved. We're going to do that right now, so follow along with me as we do that. First thing I got to do, got to turn off my solar charger, and then we're going to open these girls up and let them get out and enjoy some green grass while we get them moved. As you can see, they were ready and they were willing. It takes a lot of effort, you know. Occasionally I hear that it takes too much effort to move animals. You know, you got to stand out here and push them really hard and chase after them. These animals will move themselves. They want green grass. We've got it. As long as you provide them that opportunity, after a few times they get really used to it, and it's not difficult to do at all. So right now I am going to move the fence, so I'll follow up back with you after that. So as you can see there, we were able to get these sheep moved. Didn't take a whole lot. A lot of times I have that empty pan there. They'll follow me around. They know that I bring them treats from time to time, so they will follow me just about anywhere as long as I have that pan. And I holler for them, say, "Come on, girls." They'll usually follow me just about anywhere I want to go. Again, these are Katahdin hair sheep. You can see Sally. I'm pulling the hair right off of her. They're starting to shed really hard. It is probably tell by my shirt, it's pretty warm out here today. I believe we're under a flood watch, and it shows because it is really humid out here right now, at least compared to where we have been all winter. This is last day of March here in Ohio, so it's about to be summertime, and we'll get used to those high temperatures, won't we, girls? Before long, you'll be all shedded out, and you'll be ready. These sheep also, I haven't got their water filled up yet, but really, as long as it's not 75 or above and sunny, they don't drink much water. The last week has been 50s, 60s, and I couldn't even tell when I dumped their water how I couldn't even tell they had drank any out of it. That's how little they had taken off of it, hadn't you, girls? Really, in the summertime, they require some water and some shade and fresh grass. Wintertime, we're just coming out of winter here in Ohio, and these girls grazed 95% of the winter, I would say. I went through, between my sheep and my 2 steers, I went through, I believe it was 15 or 16 square bales of hay. So that's a little under 1,000 pounds. It's probably 800 pounds of hay is what I fed all winter to these animals. So most of what they had during the winter was stockpile that we saved up during the summer. And then now we're made it back to fresh green grass. I like to put them on pastures when it gets a little taller than this, but unfortunately right now we're waiting for the spring growth to start. We're getting a little bit, but it says we're supposed to get almost 2 inches of rain this week. So if we get that, the grass is really going to shoot up, and if we stay a little bit warmer than we have been. The reason we went with Katahdin hair sheep is we have a ton of areas around here that are hard for me to get to. As you can tell from this video, we have a lot of banks and hills and things like that that are hard to reach, especially outside my fence, and I couldn't get my cows to them. So I decided, instead of me spending time away from animals that is in the opposite way of where I want to go, I want to have more animals, and I want to spend more time working with animals. When if I'm out weed eating, that takes away from that. So why not get sheep, and then I can move them? That's why I love the portable fencing, because I can put them pretty much anywhere. Even when I just had one strand ran across here, the sheep weren't going to run out of it. They're that tame. They're used to us. They know that we're going to take care of them. and they know that most fencing they shouldn't try to cross. They will rub on the woven wire, but they're used to that. That's actually how they shed themselves out. They also use this, put them in here where they had this electric pole this time. That way they got a nice pole to scratch against. They'll really enjoy that. But back to my original point, we wanted to get the sheep because I wanted something that would take care of the grass on the banks and the hills that I just didn't have time and energy to get to while trying to have a farm. So the sheep, originally we started with goats, and then we talked to some people that had goats, and they told us that really goats like to eat browse, which is a lot of brush and weeds, which we do have some of that, but we had a ton of grass that really needed taken care of. That was my biggest issue, mainly because I don't like mowing. So I decided to get these girls, and so far they've done a great job with that. They enjoy taking care of those areas for me. They'll clear it down. It'll look freshly mowed if you leave them there long enough. The two drawbacks that I heard from sheep were you have to shear them, and you have to be very careful with parasites. So hence why we went with Katahdin hair sheep. Katahdin, I believe, is a mountain in Maine where these were bred. So they are bred in a winter climate that's a lot harsher than what we have here. So it made sense for me to get something that we knew was going to be able to withstand the winters that we have here in Ohio, but also not get something so winter ready that it wouldn't be able to withstand the heat that we have here in the summer. We're in a transition zone here in southern Ohio. Unfortunately, we can be 0 degrees in the wintertime, and we can be about 95 in the summertime. So we couldn't really get completely winter hardy animals. We had to try to find that balance there. So with the hair sheep, they're able to get enough wool and hair to cover themselves in the winter to stay warm, but then they shed that out during the summertime, so we don't have to shear them. And also with parasite resistance, they're supposed to be one of the better breeds for that, and also rotational grazing, in theory, should take care of 90% of your parasite problems. Knock on wood, we have yet to have any issues with that. We usually try to check the girls, making them easy to handle. I know I've talked about that in every video. The easier you make your animals to handle, the more it's going to pay off for you in the long run. These girls here, if we need to check them for parasites, it's a lot more helpful when they'll come up to me and I can just grab their heads really quick and pull down their eyelids. They don't like that, but at least they'll get close enough to me that I don't have to chase them through a field to do that. They'll come up to me and then I just have to grab a hold of them. Also, you do have to trim their hooves a little bit. We've done it once so far, and we've had them over a year. It seems to be fine if you just do it once a year. I've heard the more grain you feed them, the more you need to trim their hooves. I don't know how true that is. I don't feed a ton of grain. That I do in that bucket. That's what they're used to. So they do enjoy it when I give it to them. Really, I just give it to them to add some minerals in case they're a little bit low. I'd maybe do it once a week. I'll give them a couple scoops. I'm not trying to make that any sort of basis for their diet. I want them to thrive on grass, which it seems like these girls are doing excellent at that. And that's another part of the Katahdin sheep that is supposed to be excellent, is their foraging ability. When I got the sheep books and I was reading through it, it said that they were able to browse and forage in areas that a lot of other sheep just would look at and say that there's nothing here. And it's the only experience I have with sheep is the Katahdin, but here we have a lot of modified rose that grows up along our fence line, and I can tell you from experience that they will eat just even the tiniest leaves on that. They'll eat that down. When I put them in the brushier areas that I had on my hillsides, they would clear up anything that was green. They won't really eat anything that's wood, so they're not like a goat in that sense, but they will eat quite a bit of brush if it's given the opportunity. What do you think, girls? They've quieted right down now that we've gave them some fresh grass. This should last them at least a few days. I will say I do need to get a bigger reel. That way I can make a bigger space for them. I would prefer to do about double this size. That way they could stay in here and they'd have enough grass for 5 or 6 days. But really just appreciate everybody taking their time to watch these videos. If you enjoy this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel and have a nice day.